The Emorys have snapped, honey. Snapped. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, #Movie Bae. I am Movie Bae. If you are new here, be sure you drop down and hit that subscribe button. Here on Movie Bae, I do reviews, reactions, and commentary to movies and television. In today's video, I'm going to be recapping and reviewing episode 5 and 6 of Them, The Covenant. Let's get into it. Episode 5 starts off with... First off, episode 5 starts out with a warning. Like, let's just get straight to it. They give us a warning stating that there will be sexual violence and violence towards a minor, towards a child in this episode. So, brace yourself. After that, episode 5 begins with some vintage footage talking about the GI Bill that was imposed to help veterans get back on their feet. This provided them with college opportunity, trade opportunity, and it also lowered interest rates on homes when they purchase. We dive into like what happened prior to the Emorys moving to Compton. It's a board meeting with their real estate agent and her managers. This was a good scene though, I'm not gonna lie. I like how they're having a meeting and it's dark as hell. First off, like, you can't even see the paperwork. Like, what are we having a meeting for? I can't see shit. Turn on a damn light in here. But it set the mood that you knew what they were doing was, one, not right and kind of shady. Come to find out, the real estate agent and her company, they usually charge about 20% interest rates on their mortgages. To African Americans, they are charging more than 20%. And even the people who they're trying to do business with said no one will ever be able to get out of debt paying more than 20% on their mortgage. So immediately, you know, they are hoodwinking and bamboozling, taking advantage of African Americans, especially African American vets, because that is who is moving and migrating to Los Angeles, as told by the vintage footage at the beginning of this episode. Now, the real estate agent, Helen, I believe her name is, if it's not, it is today. She is the only woman in the boardroom. Mind you, this takes place in the 1950s, so gender discrimination is very real, alive and kicking, and it showed in this scene. This lady, I'm not gonna lie, this real estate agent, she played her role. Meaning, like, the actress played her role, because it was so cringy. It was like they're talking their man talk and hinting at sanitary napkins and women being the weaker sex and sensitive, and she's just sitting there like she had to put on a face to be in the position where she's at. She meets with the Johnsons. Now, y'all remember Johnson, Ella Mae Johnson, the crazy lady who cooked her kids? Yeah. We get a flashback of her selling to the Johnsons, and they knew about prior incidents that happened in Compton with other African American families before they moved over there. Why? Why are we moving? Why? Remember last episode when Lucky went to go see Miss Johnson and she was like, oh, your boys look about my Gracie's age. Gracie is the little baby girl who's in kindergarten, so I'm thinking, what, 6 years old? Those boys at the real estate agency, they weren't 7. They look like twins, and they look like they were Ruby's age, okay? Ella Mae is weary about moving to Compton, but she leaves the decision up to her husband, who is just adamant about doing so, and he signs that paperwork, and we know the rest. What I was trying to see is, did he have legs? I really wanted to see if he really lost his legs in the war, or if she did something to that man's legs. That's just something I wanted to know. I don't believe his face was burned. Hold on, y'all, I gotta go look. Okay, so I couldn't tell if he was in a wheelchair or not, but his face was definitely not burned. He is not a burn victim. She did that. As soon as they signed that contract, tell me why Helen talk about maybe y'all should move in that night, you know, just so people won't, you know. Girl, I just saw this contract. Now you gonna tell me to move in at night so it'll cause less of a stir? Afterwards, Helen goes and meets with the police officer from the beginning. Remember I said that I liked him? Yeah, I don't like him no more. It was a facade. She goes and meets with him and pays him under the table for keeping the peace in the blended neighborhoods. I'm sorry, I have to pay you extra to do what you're supposed to do? She's paying him to ensure that the race crime stays low in order for them to continue to move black people into these neighborhoods, into this area. They have a conversation about basically how he's being paid off the books, and she's the only one who's going to get in trouble if anything go down, because her name is the one on the contract, not her manager, not her supervisor, not her boss, nobody else but her name and the family's names is on that contract. And she just looked like, damn, you right. And it's so messed up because it's like they literally are throwing her under the bus. Like, ain't no stamp, ain't no seal of approval. It's literally just her name on there. And of course they want the woman to take the fall. Of course they do. Of course they do. So she was harassed and threatened by this dude in her car because she's selling to African-American homes and messing up their perfectly white, pristine neighborhoods. So Helen is catching her own set of flack as well. So now we come to the scene where basically it's the very same scene that this season opened up with. What? First off, this episode was 30 minutes. Episode was short as hell. Second off, they literally repeated the same scene we saw in episode 1 again in episode 5. There was no different angles, no different point of view, no added information. They showed that same scene word from word, frame from frame, up until Lucky went back in the house. What the? How lazy is that? How lazy? That's lazy. Lil Marvin, that's lazy. You gave us the same scene twice. And that scene took up half of this episode. So nothing happened in this episode, basically. What's coming up next is very graphic. I'm obviously not going to go into detail about it. But when the white people came into Lucky's home, they sexually assaulted her and they murdered Baby Chester. I see people online talking about how this scene was, I mean, obviously it was disturbing, but the term torture porn I've seen it a couple of times, not just a person from my comments, but like I've seen it, you know, surrounding this episode. And just in defense of the creator, as a movie buff, I've seen a lot of different type of movies. And I've seen my fair share of disturbing films. The way that this scene is shot is creative. It's shot very well. The music, the cuts, the edits. And it's shot very tastefully. And obviously, calm down. Obviously, I use the word tastefully very loosely because it is a disturbing event that is taking place. When I say tastefully, I'm comparing it to other projects that I have seen where there have been brutal assaults, nudity, etc. But in this show, it was it was shot in a way where most of it was implied. So, and like I said, it was shot well, just cinematic wise. So just, that's me in defense of the creator. Obviously it's a disturbing event, and it's not gonna sit well with a lot of people, but just the way that it was done, it is better than other people and other projects. Let's just say that much. And we can move on from that scene. But after the funeral, obviously Lucky is traumatized. She is rightfully so losing her mind. She is mourning baby Chester, so much so where her other children, Ruby and Gracie, are scared of their mother. They notice that she's not herself anymore, and she goes down into their cellar, I think it's called. She goes down into their cellar and she just grovels at the dirt with the pillowcase that Chester was in, and she just grieves. It was a messed up situation, and her emotions are overstood, but she's scaring the kids. Afterwards, Henry gets the call for the job offer, and the family packs up and moves to California. They move to Compton. And there we have it. What happened to baby Chester and what happened to the Emorys before they came to California. That's the end of episode 5. I told you it was short. It was really empty. I'm really upset that we literally got the same scene twice. I am satisfied that I finally found out fully what happened to baby Chester. Episode 6, day 7. This episode begins with Lucky having another one of her dreams. This time she is standing over her daughter Ruby, wielding an axe. She awakes and sees that her feet are dirty, and she has the axe or an axe under her bed. So from the hardware store, I guess we can imply that she did indeed buy that axe because she is curious to see what someone's brains look like. The morning scene on this episode, we have a couple of things that are symbolic to me that I wanted to mention. The dad, Ruby, and the mother are all like twitching, like shaking their hands while the dad is shaving, while Ruby's eating her cereal, and while the mom is doing Gracie's hair for school. Now, the dad is shaving, so he has white shaving cream on his face, and he's kind of like in a daze, like, you know. In my interpretation, I was thinking like imagining yourself as a different skin tone. Ruby, when she's eating her cereal and the milk runs down her spoon and she sees her reflection and she tries to fit her face into where the milk is to cover her face in white. And then the mom, while she is hot combing Gracie's hair, aside from her being out of her damn mind, the most out of her mind than anyone else, she's shaking and she presses Gracie's hair, and her hair catch a blaze, and Gracie turns around and says, "Am I pretty now, mama?" That is equivalent to being closer to European descent. Let's just say that. I feel like the lack of sound in this episode, well, in that scene, was dope. I think it was used at the right time. It kind of helped build suspense, and you focused in or honed in on what was actually happening because you didn't have any distraction. Now, if this show, I haven't seen the rest of the episodes. I'm watching them as I'm doing these reviews. If this show goes in the way that I thought it was originally going to go, where an African-American family moves into a predominantly white neighborhood, and as they try to fit in with their new surroundings, supernatural events start to occur. That's what I thought the show was going to be about. If it takes that way, like, you know, the dad code switching, Ruby's desire to be white, and the mom, I don't know what's up. Oh my God, this is deja vu. Oh my God, this is deja vu. I don't know what's up with the mom, but she, I mean, aside from obviously her PTSD, she's also losing her shit. As a horror fan, as a supernatural enthusiast, we know that demons usually use the weaker and innocent vessel. I feel like the mom was the most weakest, which is probably why she is getting hit the hardest with what's going on. And I feel like she's the weakest because what she just went through right before moving to Compton. And we all know Gracie she's a child, she's 5 or 6 years old, so she's innocent, which is why she was the first one to see what was going on in the house. Lucky burns Gracie on the back of the neck, which is, if you've ever had your hair pressed, hot comb, flat iron, curled, a perm, a relaxer, that's nothing new. It's like, ow, put some Vaseline on it, girl. Get out my chair, okay? Quit your whining. Later that day at work, Henry's manager calls him into his office to insult his work that he has been doing amazing and spectacular on, just so he can remove him from the Pentagon project so he won't be able to get compensation. He's not only mad that he was made a fool of at the office party that he did not invite Henry to, but obviously they're not going to pay a Negro extra. They want to take all his work. They want to take all his contribution and not give him nothing for it. The same thing, bro. They want to take all his contribution and not give him nothing for it. Not give him no credit, no compensation, no none of that. I'm going to keep my mouth closed, but still happens to this day. Henry is at his wit's end. Henry can't fake the funk no more. Well, he's trying, but he is shaking inside and out while he is doing so. He goes home after work. I don't know if his day was cut short because he's now taken off of the project, but he goes home, turns on the tube, grabs him something to drink, and sits down on the couch to chill and kick it, right? First off, the TV turned on by itself, and it's turning channels by itself. I don't know if he's just so mad he ain't noticed that or what. While watching TV, a particular program comes on where they had the stereotypical roles of a black character being all yes sir. We are visited by, not gonna lie, someone who was in my dreams last night, the blackface tap dance man. This is the creepiest part of this show. When this show was marketed as a thriller slash horror, they must have just been talking about this character because the man who plays the tap dance man is so talented. He is invested, honey. And just the costume is very creepy to me. He scared me in the preview and he's scaring me now. So the tap dance man pays Henry a visit and Henry basically just tells him about his day. And the tap dance man is like, well, what you gonna do about it? Henry decides to go in his room, get his gun, and he leaves the house. He ends up at his boss's house. I don't think the boss is there, but he gets called by one of the neighbors. He puts on that face again. Oh, sorry, I must have been lost. And proceeds to go on about his way. As the neighbor turns his back, Henry cold clocks this man, and he's laid out on the sidewalk. I thought I saw blood, so he might be dead. While Ruby is at school, she's having more, now that we know that Doris is not a real character, basically her imaginary friend. She's having more conversations with Doris about trying out for the cheerleading team. And Doris says, meet me in the gym, you know, for tryouts. We see Ruby going to the gym, but as the gym door closes, the cheerleaders are on the football field. So, girl, where you going? Ruby is in there having cheer practice, bring it on, all by herself. Well, she's really all by herself. She thinks she's surrounded by a group of cheerleaders at her school. And something I liked is, in this scene, Ruby is dressed in her school colors in reverse, but she's dressed in her school colors. So her fitting in to be a cheerleader is there, okay? This scene, I didn't really like it. I see where they was trying to go, but I feel like sometimes in this show, I feel like when they try to be creepy, it kind of comes off as, what the hell, to me. So the cheerleaders, as they're doing their thing, their bones and legs and arms start breaking and they start contorting, and it's just like, what the hell? Ruby is her own case, okay? Well, the kids are at school. Lucky decides to go back to Hazel's house, Henry Cousins, so she can get some insight on that family that they were telling her about, that the woman who skinned her kids. She wanted to go back and get more information. She finds out that the family names was the Beaumonts and that the mom is now in the psychiatric, I am good for messing up some words. The psychiatric is now at the psychiatric hospital. So she goes to pay her a visit. When Lucky gets there to see Miss Beaumont, Miss Beaumont says, before you kill your kids, just remember how much you're going to miss them. And then it cuts to the next scene. At first, I was like, if that's all we get from her, I'm about to write a letter, because What the hell? When this scene comes back, well, Miss Beaumont tells Lucky in not a lot of details of what happened, how she is, I think she's of mixed race, and her mother was always like, lighter is righter, or lighter is best, whatever. What did she say? Light and bright is always right. That's what her mama used to tell her. When she started seeing the man in the black hat, she kind of got possessed to pour bleach on her family members. As if they weren't high yellow anyways. They had to be brighter to be closer to European descent. That's why I was like, if this show goes where I think it wants to go, I think the concept of this would be dope. But to be honest, I was left unsatisfied with that because I feel like that wasn't enough information. I need to know more about this man in the black hat. I need to know when you started seeing him, what he did to you, what everything you ensued, what you encountered, what you started doing. Kind of like when she went to go see the Johnsons. I needed more information from the person who has been caught and is now in the crazy house. Did your husband believe you? Like, I need to know these things. And nothing was provided in the episode from Miss Beaumont. She might as well have not been there. Like, they literally could have just wrote that scene out if that's what they were going to provide us with. Nothing. What is Betty doing this episode? Betty is inspecting her home, and she sees that the rip in her wallpaper indeed has black mold behind it. And we all know what happens with black mold. As they said in their homeowners association meeting, black mold, you can't get rid of mold. No matter how hard you scrub, you can't get rid of it. See, that's the thing. Oh my God, I love a callback, man. When Betty sees that black mold is growing behind her wallpaper, she decides to go to the bank her damn self to see how much she has in her savings. When she gets there, the teller tells her without telling her, you ain't got no money, sis. And Betty knows she isn't the one who taking money out the account, her savings account that her father opened up for her because women could not have bank accounts in their name back in the day. Yeah, we've come a long way. But yes, all of Betty's savings are gone, and it looks like Clark is the one that took the money. Clark, what you doing with that money? This is what he doing. He is building a life for me and him. What if Clark is taking the money so he can get the hell out and leave Betty ass? What if that's what he doing? What if Clark got a whole nother family? Ooh. What if Clark is dating a black woman? Oh my God. Okay, all right, I'm done with Clark. I'm done with Clark. What I like about this show, this episode more in particular, it not only touched on racial discrimination, obviously that's going on in the entire show, but it shines a light on gender discrimination as well in this episode. It did so with Helen, the real estate agent, and it did so with Betty at the bank, where the bank teller wouldn't even give her access to her account. Let's go visit Gracie at school. We finally get to see Gracie at school. While she's there, they're saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Who still says the pledge? Y'all still say the pledge in school? I know. We stopped saying the pledge in like the 5th grade. Like, I'm surprised I remember it, to be honest. Gracie gets called on by her teacher to come and say the pledge in front of the entire class. Gracie gets distracted because Miss Vera is standing outside her schoolhouse window. She makes Gracie stop saying the pledge and start reciting Cat in a Bag, which is what the lady who murdered baby Chester was saying. Lucky gets called to school to get Gracie, and they suggest that Gracie is just not ready for kindergarten because she couldn't say the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't know. Whatever. Every time you have hope in some of these characters, they just... the police officer, the Ruby teacher, Gracie teacher. Every time I get a little bit of hope in these characters, they just say... they just prove me wrong. While Lucky and Gracie are on the way home, Gracie tells her mom that she saw Miss Vera outside her window. While they're having an intimate moment outside their home, Betty comes out. In Betty's defense, she's had a tough day. But Betty, mind your own damn business, girl. Betty come out the house talking about, when are you gonna clean this mess up? Excuse me? Y'all the one who did this to my house. I'm not cleaning this up. Talk about civilized people don't live this way. You don't say. You don't say. Betty is just fed up and she's just talking while Lucky is walking. And she turned around and called Lucky the N-word with the ER. It really don't even matter because it don't matter if it was an A, ER, or an O. She said the N-word. Lucky politely tells Gracie, hold mama purse, baby. I was like, yes, do it. Lucky walks across that street, and when I tell you she slapped the dog piss out of Betty, she slapped the dog piss out of Betty. And with the backhand too. It wasn't no, she said, whop! And walked away. Period. And your little Gracie talk about, that's right, mama, we whooped they asses. Oh my God, I cannot. Oh my God, Gracie is so cute. Betty is stunned. She's shook. She just, all Karen'd out. She goes to her house and starts tearing up that wallpaper. She starts throwing her stuff around the house, breaking dishes, but she couldn't bring herself to break that figurine that her and her parents have matching ones of. Betty goes and grabs a butcher knife and she ready to go cut somebody. She calms down and she goes to the phone. And she calls who I presume is the milkman, saying she needs that favor right now. And the episode cuts off. See, that is how you conclude an episode. I feel like one thing this series has been lacking is the ability to have the audience wanting more. The reason why I can honestly do an episode by episode recap of this show, like I'm not just like, oh, I gotta binge this, I gotta see what happens next. It's because the ending of every episode doesn't lead me like, oh, I gotta watch what's happening next. This the only episode where I was like, what favor? I need to see what happened next. But I had to go to sleep because I gotta work, okay? Guys, what are my predictions for the next episode? I wanted to add my predictions for the last video, but my footage wouldn't upload. But my predictions for this episode, episode 7 and 8, we almost toward the end. I hope to get some answers on who the hell this man in the black hat is. Who is Miss Vera? Where are these entities coming from? I need to know that. I need to know that now. I don't want to know it on episode 10. I need to know that right now. And I need more background information on what has happened with previous families that's moved into white neighborhoods. That's what I want to know. Because I feel like I'm not getting enough information, and I don't like not knowing things, okay? If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give me a big thumbs up. That lets me know that I'm doing my job accurately. Be sure you drop down, hit that subscribe button, because I will be dropping episodes 7 and 8 very, very soon. Drop down in the comments. Let's talk about this episode. Let's talk about all the episodes prior. Nothing afterwards. We are not doing spoilers, and my comments, I will delete them, okay? Thank y'all so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. It's a date.